Welcome to the Fantasy Flex Podcast. This is a very, very special episode. Today, we have our guy, Steven Dominguez, drafting with us, won the contest, and he's going to be participating in a four-man best ball draft with us. Sean Koerner's here, of course. Samantha Previte is here. But Steven, how you doing, man? Congratulations.
Thank you. Honored to be here, feeling great, ready to get started, and I hope I can hang with the big dogs.
Yeah, so the draft is about a minute 30 away. So Samantha, I'll go to you first. Four-man best balls are kind of unique. It's kind of like drafting out of the top 50. Any strategy as we enter this draft?
I feel like I should have come with a prepared strategy. I didn't even know that drafts like this existed. But I guess I'm kind of just winging it. But as Sean said before we started recording, there are no bad picks.
Sean, any strategy? I remember you and I think we were in a couple of these with our good pal Peter Jennings, and he was just going tight end crazy, drafting like three tight ends with the first three picks. Do you have any strategy in mind kind of like that, or are you just kind of winging it too?
Yeah, maybe. I think that was a good strategy by Peter. It's all about drop-offs, and with just four people, it's pretty easy to attack those drop-offs. So yeah, I have some things up my sleeve, but it's almost impossible to come away with a bad team here. So I think we're just going to have fun. And, my boy Steven over here, huge fan of the show. We love Steven, is at pick one. So I'm expecting him to steal all my players. And you better not take Robbie Anderson from me. That's our boy, Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
He might go in the last round in this draft, to be honest.
He might not get picked in this draft.
Yeah, well,
he might not make it.
You'd be surprised.
All right, Steven, we're about to get underway, and looks like the timer has officially started. So let's see where you go. I don't think it's going to be any surprise where you go at number one, but let's see.
No surprises. No surprises here.
All right. It's Christian McCaffrey again. No surprise. Sean's up with the number 2 pick. Steven, talk about Christian McCaffrey. How have you gotten him often with number 1 picks in any other drafts this offseason, or is this kind of one of your first exposures?
So funny story. I had a best ball auction earlier this year, and we had some technical difficulties. I ended up auto bidding up McCaffrey to 100. It was a $500, buy, and we ended up auto bidding McCaffrey. So it wasn't intentional, but this is my second share of him. I'm excited. I did consider Kelsey, so it was a tough decision, but couldn't pass up, such a monster. And I've heard your guys' podcast, CMC all the way at number 1.
Yeah, that's why I hesitated a little when I said, there might be no surprises, but then I thought, okay, somebody actually might take Kelsey. You might have been thinking about Kelsey with that number 1 pick, but he stays on the board. McCaffrey, he's just such a different beast, even coming off the injury. He can just score in a tier that no one else can. Our timer's winding down here, Sean. What's going on?
I'm trying to make you guys sweat. So you know what? I think I'm going to do this. I threw you guys off with the hat. I am not going with that guy. I'm going with Travis Kelce.
I knew it wouldn't take long.
Love the misdirection.
Travis Kelce to come off the board.
Knew that was happening.
I will go with the guy Sean passed up, Dalvin Cook. I love Dalvin Cook this year. I think, any of those top 4 running backs, you love to have them. But Sean, talk a little bit about why in this format of draft, just 4 owners or 4, let me not say that, Samantha, actually 4 drafters, I should say, that you go with a player like Travis Kelce at tight end rather than going with a top 4 running back.
Yeah, just the drop off is pretty steep from him to Waller and then Waller to Kittle, to be honest. So if you guys take Kelce and Waller, that's a massive drop off. And I will say I'm kind of predicting which players make it back to me, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm kind of factoring that in as well, that certain players will make it back to me. So I'm making a bit of a gamble. But yeah, I think just Kelce with the drop off in a 4-person league, I think it's too good to pass up.
All right.
Absolutely.
I've got the corner pick here. And I went with Derrick Henry and Darren Waller.
Oh, guys are just
me
taking all the tight ends. This kind of puts me in a tough spot. Do I take that last tight end in Darren Waller? In George Kittle. Do I go for the top receiver in Devontae Adams? Do I take another running back in Kamara? There's a lot of choices here. And it's actually a pretty tough one. I am going to, you know what? It's a 4-man league and there's 3 stud tight ends. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take George Kittle and we'll see what happens. We got to play the positional scarcity. Steven, right, I hope you didn't want a tight end because you're not getting a stud, not in this draft.
That was the tough decision, but
I don't think you can go wrong with CMC. And I will say my plan worked out because I was able to get either Kamara or Henry to make it back to me. So I'm going to go with Alvin Kamara here. I think this is a no-brainer. There we go.
Steven is up. You got the 2 picks. So, got some choices here.
Yes, sir. So,
Sean, who do you have ranked higher of Derrick Henry and Kamara?
For half PPR, I have Kamara slightly ahead now.
Nice. After
Michael Thomas went down, I think that boosts him a little bit over Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to worry. Well, not as much. We don't have to worry about that Taysom Hill sample of Kamara sucking in those games. So, that's also a positive.
Yep.
So this was another tough choice, but I think I'm going to stick to the 2 best running backs I think left on the board and take Ezekiel Elliott here.
Nice.
And I think, Zeke's always a safe choice. Preferably would have liked to have one of the top 3 tight ends. Was hoping one of them would fall to me, but this is a fine consolation prize.
Yeah, absolutely.
You guys see that Zeke works out in like a sweatshirt in 105-degree weather and loses 7 pounds every practice?
Oh my God.
And he has too much water weight. Remember, he used to have that little belly. Now he's like ripped. Now he's ripped. But I feel like he starts practice with the belly and ends with like the 6-pack, it's like a daily thing for him. His body is just on a different level.
Well, we always know what his belly looks like because he wears those cutoff shirts, right?
Right.
Yeah. That's crazy though. 7 pounds. That can't be healthy. Every day.
Sounds very extrme, but it seems like he has all the numbers down that he's replenishing himself. So,
You know what it is? He's getting fat on that invisible cereal that he's always eating. He's really eating it too. He's got to cut back on that invisible cereal.
All right, Steven, who are you going with here?
So
sounds like you're still debating. Zeke off the board. To recap, McCaffrey, Kelsey, Cook, Henry in the first round, Waller, Kittle, Kamara, Elliott in the second round, and Steven is up with the first pick of the 3rd round in our 4-person best ball draft. So Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones.
I can pause the timer if you need a little bit more time.
I've got it. I don't want to get left without a tight end, and I really like this guy this year, so I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball and take
our guy.
Hey.
Our guy.
Oh my God. Oh man, love it.
I actually love it too, because that means a player that I didn't necessarily think was going to make it back to me is. So, but talk about TJ Hockinson. I mean, if you listen to this podcast, we love us some TJ Hockinson. Sean has even gone as far as to say if he doesn't get a stud and then doesn't get TJ Hockinson, his draft strategy is ruined. Which I don't think I've ever heard Sean say in like all my years with him as an analyst. So talk to me about Hockinson, Steve.
Yeah, definitely. That I will say that influenced me a little bit. Maybe he's kind of playing mind games, but I didn't want to get left. I mean, Mark Andrews is there, but I think yardage wise, TJ Hockinson, as you guys have mentioned, in that offense without a lot of receiving options, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he can put up. And it was a bit of a reach, but I'm focusing on roster construction here. So don't beat me up too bad.
I think I'm going to go with the first receiver here.
I knew it.
And I think since I have Kelce, so since this is a 4-person league, we don't really need that much of a ceiling. So I'm going to go with a different team here and Davante Adams. Don't let me do that. But, you know, there's this mini tier at the top of 2 receivers. So I wanted to get one because I don't think either one's going to make it back to me. So that's why I went Adams.
I drafted Tyreek Hill immediately. I was like hoping that Adams or Hill would make it back. And I wasn't sure if Steven was going to. Steven, I thought you were going to end up going Davante Adams, to be completely honest.
That was my decision.
So then I was worried that Tyreek Hill wasn't going to get to me and Sean was going to try like a stack. But Sean, you seem to be going the opposite direction and trying to diversify.
I guess I'm going to go with Stefan Diggs here with one of my picks, but I haven't figured out the second one.
All right.
Now I'm trying to think, are we taking all the tight ends immediately?
Hey, there's a run.
Yeah.
There's definitely a run going. Anytime TJ Hockinson gets taken before
only,
Devontae and Tyreek Hill,
there's only a couple tight ends left before the frozen pond tier of tight ends.
All right.
It's a frozen ocean.
Yeah, exactly.
There's just nothing. It's vast.
All right. Do I reach for Kyle Pitts since that's part of my brand? No, I'm going to diversify. I'm going to go Mark Andrews here.
Woo, the tight ends are flying off the board. So let me just recap once again in our 4-man best ball draft. McCaffrey, Kelce, Cook, Henry in round 1, Waller, Kittle, Kamara, Elliott in round 2, Hockinson, Adams, Hill, Diggs in round 3, and then Samantha led off the 4th round with Mark Andrews. So that is 13 picks off the board and five tight ends are already gone. I mean, this is nuts. And this is, I like the 4-man drafts because I think it kind of helps you sort out your top 50 strategy and guys you really like and want to avoid, but it also throws some curveballs at you in terms of roster construction. Cause you would never really do this in a different format, but all of the tight ends.
And if I had to guess, there's probably only going to be one more tight end drafted in the next 10 rounds. So
it's a good guess. I'd have to agree.
I'm gonna go with the first quarterback off the board. Get the Tyreek to Patrick Mahomes stack going here at 4-2. I mean, anytime you can get Mahomes after Mark Andrews and TJ Hockinson, I think you just got to do it. So going Mahomes here in the short draft because I'm not worried about the opportunity cost here. I know I'm going to get good receivers. I know I'm going to get good running backs later on. So taking a quarterback is something that I do a lot in these smaller drafts.
Yeah, so I'm deciding between a quarterback and a tight end here, if I'm being honest. And since I already have a tight end, I think I'm going to go with QB here. So I'm going to go Josh Allen.
Ouch.
You've come up on Josh Allen. You weren't too high on him. I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Now you're taking him in the 4-3, Sean. You've done a 180.
Yeah, in 365 days, I think I'm allowed to change my mind on a guy.
And as much as you love Kyler Murray, I could have sworn that's where you were going.
Oh, Kyler? Well, yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with any of these quarterbacks, to be honest. But just the fact that I already have a tight end, that's why I chose QB. But there's still a pretty good tight end out there still.
So I'm going to take DK Metcalf.
I like it.
Nice.
Probably the best receiver left on the board, and I don't think that was a surprise to anybody. And
you got the second pick though. You got the turn. So you're not just getting DK, you're getting DK plus QB and X.
Yeah. And I was talking about him earlier. I think I'm going to go Kyler Murray and get my first quarterback as well. I think he's in a tier above the remaining QBs, so might as well get them while I can.
Yeah, wasn't he the QB1 until his shoulder injury, and I think it was week 9.
Yeah, he had a massive drop off over that last second half of the season, but he was right there every week. Him or Allen really was right there in that QB1 conversation.
All right, well, sorry Samantha, you're not getting your boy. I'm taking him. Kyle Pitts.
Woo! I mean, this is just the tight ends are not seizing to go off the board.
Now they might cool off though.
Yeah,
cool off.
There's no one else to take. That's it. It's over. I might just go. I may just go with one tight end.
Top 6 guy. I did the bullish tight end thing for the first time in a draft last night, and I took Kelsey at 106, which I know is very early, but I ended up kind of liking the way my roster shook out, and I got a lot of really good values. I got DJ Moore in the middle of the 5th round, so I was pretty psyched about that. And
who made it back to you in round 2?
I took Joe Mixon, which I know also there's just a lot of risk there. Injury wise, but he was, in my opinion, the best running back available. So there were definitely a lot of running backs taken.
I like Mixon. He had if you look at the 6 games he played last year before he went down, he was getting pretty much every running back carry in that backfield. He was 95% of the carries. Gio Bernard would mix in for some pass snaps, would get 1 carry per game. So I think Mixon's got a lot of upside. You just have to hope the O-line is in decent shape, but he's a 20+ touch guy. And some of those other guys, as much as I love Antonio Gibson, even Aaron Jones, Eckler, those aren't necessarily 20+ touch guys. Mixon has a very good chance of being, 20, 22 touches on a weekly basis as long as he's healthy. So I like Mixon there.
Are you going to take him next?
I just took Lamar Jackson with my first quarterback pick. And then now I hate being on the corners because then I got to guess what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Because look,
I feel that, Samantha.
All the quarterbacks went. So.
Yeah, I think Sean, you and I lucked out kind of being in the middle because we're just kind of getting the value as it falls. And we pick a little sooner between each round. So I actually like the middle picks in a 4-man draft.
There's still a couple QBs out there, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, so to start the 5th
4
round.
Or 6 points per passing touchdown. Sorry, I should have
looked. 4 points.
Yeah. So we got Kyler came off the board to Steven at 5-1. Sean took Kyle Pitts at 5-2. I took DeAndre Hopkins at 5-3. And then Samantha with Lamar Jackson to end the 5th round of our 4-man best ball draft here.
And I just got my next pick in.
Ooh, I like that one. That's what I was going to take if I didn't take Hop. So love that. Calvin Ridley. I mean, Samantha, you mentioned you're on brand with Kyle Pitts, but Calvin Ridley, I'm guessing, is a pretty good consolation prize.
I definitely am all over this Falcons offense this year, just for a lot of reasons, because I think, for instance, I've been getting Mike Davis a lot because everyone's undervaluing him. And we just saw Javian Hawkins get waived. So I think we're going to see a lot of volume for him. And then in terms of the pass catchers, I want all of that, just because we've talked about this in past podcasts that we think that he'll be in a lot of that the team will be in a lot of negative game scripts, which will be great for Calvin Ridley and Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, absolutely. The defense, I think, is going to struggle. If you have seen any of their preseason action, they've been getting blown out. And not that to put any stock into that, but what it does show is the lack of depth for this team. And it's because they're cap strapped. And so, defenses always take hits. Cornerbacks will go down left and right, linebackers, things like that. So when that happens to the Falcons, they're going to be in a rough spot, and their offense is definitely the strength of the team. So Calvin Ridley, big year coming. Pitts should be fine, even though I think he's still going at his ceiling. I don't get him as much, but I do agree that Falcons offense is going to have to be the strength of the team. I'm going to go with Aaron Jones here, though. I think, he slipped a little further, in this kind of draft because everyone was going tight end crazy, but he's my RB6 So I got him at the beginning of the sixth round, 602. So I feel pretty good about that. Team is Kelsey, Kamara. No, wait, whoa. What am I saying? My team. I'm looking at Sean's. No, my team is.
Yeah, you wish you had Kelsey.
I know, I do. I really do. I got stuck with George Kittle. But yeah, got Tyreek, got Mahomes, got Jones now, got Dalvin Cook, so got Kittle. So feeling pretty good to start this draft. Sean is up with the 6-3.
Yeah, I wanted Aaron Jones there. That's a bummer. I liked having especially for a 4-person league, having Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. Might cap my ceiling a bit, but that's a super high floor stack right there. So that's a bummer. You really threw me off there. I'm going to go with another receiver. I think. Wait, is he off the board? Oh, shit. Oh, Hopkins is gone. Oh, my God. All right.
Oh, yeah. I took Hopkins in the last round, man. I'm sniping all your picks. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, just like you thought you had Kelsey and Kamara. Those are my guys.
You want to just trade teams, Sean?
No, I'm good. All right. Well, I guess I'm going to go with Austin Eckler here.
Oh, Steven, what was that reaction?
Nice.
You want Eckler, or are you saying like, oh, bust?
Oh, good.
No, I did.
Oh, okay. Thank God I took him.
Who's gonna take Saquon?
To drop off a little bit, so I just wanted to get one of these guys.
I was just gonna say that we've got 7 running backs off the board, and Saquon's still available.
Yeah, as it should.
How far is he been dropping in your drafts? In a normal drafts, not the.
Well, you're in a draft with me and Raybon, so he might last like round 10 or 11.
Okay, I will say this: I got him in an underdog league. It was an auto pick. So I didn't know technically. It wasn't me, but it was according to my ranking. Sure. I got him at RB21. I mean, I got him at pick 21, not RB20. Pick 21. Pick 21.
Was it an 8-hour timer?
Late. Huh?
Was it an 8-hour timer?
No, 30 second.
Oh.
I just let the rankings just autopilot for a second, and I looked up and I had Saquon Barkley, and I was like, all right, well, I had to get him sometime.
Okay. So I went ahead and went Nick Chubb. I really wanted Eckler ahead of him, that split backfield with Kareem Hunt, but I still think he's the lead dog, and I think he's going to return value where we're at. So it's not too bad. Really considered Saquon, though. He's getting tempting. I will say that.
I mean, you're in the draft with 3 people, I think, that are probably down on him compared to the consensus. So he's probably there for the take. And I mean, you could get him right now with the first pick of the 7th, but I wonder if he'll last, even.
Don't listen. Raybon's trying to get him to fall to him. Just watch.
Yeah, this is persuasion here.
Yeah. So Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Najee Harris, Joe Mixon, Antonio Gibson are the running backs on the board as Steven picks with the first pick of the 7th round. Keenan Allen, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown still on the board at wide receiver. No one on the board at tight end. And Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson still, and Dak Prescott are still on the board at QB.
So I want to get my second receiver here, and this is just a preference pick. I want to have these 2 young receivers on my team, and I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson out of Minnesota.
Oh, yeah,
I think we all wanted Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I think that's everyone's preference with that pick.
This is like when TJ Hockinson goes, and I don't have a tight end. Now I don't know what to do. Oh, man. I needed this hat to mean something. That was going to be my Justin Jefferson pick.
Hey, there's always Irv Smith. You're going to need more tight ends.
Yeah. I don't know if Irv is going to get drafted, to be honest.
I mean, hey, the way tight ends have been going, you never know, but. How many rounds we got? 20, 18? Okay. 18. Okay. Like an underdog. So yeah, we got 18 rounds. We're through 6 of them, and Steven just took Justin Jefferson, 701. Steven, why do you like Jefferson? Well, you mentioned it's your preference. I'm guessing over a guy like AJ Brown and Keenan Allen. Talk to me about Jefferson.
I think health is the biggest thing. Keenan Allen's, although he's played, I think, 16 games the past 2 seasons, he's getting up there in age. he's been injury prone in the past before those last 2 seasons. And then, enough said with AJ Brown and his knee issue. I think he's got 2 banged up knees. He played through 2 really bad knees last year, right? Like some sort of serious injury that he played through. So I read somewhere that he's having a little bit of issues with that now. So I think Justin Jefferson's just the better pick, and he's younger and he's explosive. I mean, for him to do what he did in his rookie year, that says something. They usually break out in the second year, not as a rookie. So I'm excited about the pick.
Yeah, on a fairly low volume pass offense, no less. With a kind of established alpha receiver already there in Adam Thielen, it was extremely impressive for Justin Jefferson in year 1. I mean, if he never gets 1,400 yards again, it's like hard to even knock him, because that's just such an impressive way to start your career and such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I went with AJ Brown there. I'm not going to let Steven try to convince me not to take him with the knee thing. He's not going to make it back to you, Steven. But yeah, I wanted Justin Jefferson there. I think wide receivers are about to go pretty fast here, so I'm just trying to get my second one. I think especially for best ball, AJ Brown's great pick. Like, he's going to have spiked weeks. I think Julio's going to help, open up the passing game for him. So yeah, I got to go Brown here.
All right, so now it's kind of getting wide open. I think the board has kind of evened out a bit to where, I'm up with the 3rd pick of the 7th round. At quarterback, you have Wilson, you have Prescott, you have Rodgers. Running back, you have Barkley, you have Taylor, you have Najee Harris, you have Mixon, Gibson. And at wideout, you have Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, Allen Robinson, and those guys. I kind of see a lot of these wide receivers in this, is kind of one big tier here. So I'm not going to go with wide receiver. I'm going to hit the running back position, and I'm not going to go Saquon yet. I am going to actually take your guy, Samantha, and go with Joe Mixon here.
Wow.
So, I do take him ahead of some of these other guys at times. Barkley, Taylor, Harris is another guy I like. Gibson I like, but I try to diversify in this range of RB2. So Mixon is an intriguing guy because I think he has a very high touch upside relative to these other backs. Even Taylor, let's remember, Marlon Mack is back, and, Jordan Wilkins is not the type of guy that you use a 3-man with, but Mack could definitely get a few carries here and there in that offense. So I'm not sure Taylor even hits the same, volume ceiling that he had last year down the stretch. So Mixon, I mean, Zach Taylor has just fed him the rock when he's been on the field. So like Mixon here. Samantha, you're up.
Ooh, you guys took everyone that I wanted. I think I'm gonna be the one to take Saquon here.
I knew it.
It's just too late.
I was
going
to take him
RB10. So that will be one pick. And then now I'm not sure. Should I take Keenan Allen, who I think is kind of the last guy in this tier that I'm happy with? Or do I go like quarterback or something like that?
So you have Keenan Allen in the the Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown tier, as opposed to like a bigger tier with like Evans and Robinson and those guys.
Yeah, I think he's probably lower in that tier, but I think he's still in that conversation for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna go Keenan Allen here. There we go.
All right.
At the turn, I just took Saquon Barkley and then Keenan Allen. I've got the injury squad going. I'm just kidding. But I think that the team's looking good so far.
All right. Now, it's still tough now because I think it's things start to bunch together. I'm going to keep, kind of playing on positional scarcity. I mentioned that I see the wide receivers in this tier with Evans and Mclaren and Robinson, Woods, Lamb. I see that as a kind of part of a larger tier. People will have their preferences, and you can make a case for any of them, but I do think that the running back ranks start to thin out after the next, 2 or 3 guys. You have Taylor, Najee left on the board with Gibson, and Edwards-Helaire is kind of a different tier for me, kind of a tier of his own. So I think there's a little more scarcity at running back. I'm going to go with Najee Harris here and take I didn't take Saquon, but I still got, two guys with big O-line concerns and Harris and Mixon, but just massive touch upside at the same time. So, in a 4-man draft, I'm hoping some of these quote unquote risks at this point pay off, but I'm gonna hit the running back position because I see it thinning out a bit.
Nice. Yeah, that's why I'm probably gonna go running back here. I definitely wanted Barkley. I think the more I think about it, this format, I think it makes sense to take Barkley fairly early because your 5th running back's probably going to be a guy like Miles Sanders. So you have a pretty high floor baked in. So yeah, so I think that kind of helps. So I kind of regret taking AJ Brown over him. So I'm going to go Jonathan Taylor here. I like him here in best ball. When they do come across a positive game script, we've seen him go bonkers before. So I'm going to take Taylor here.
Yeah, I feel good because I definitely got ahead of the running backs thinning out first with Aaron Jones and then Mixon and Najee. So I am feeling good about that. Steven, you're out at the turn again. The last pick of the 8th, the first pick of the 9th. What you thinking?
Yeah. In no other situation do you ever say you get Antonio Gibson in the 8th round.
Right.
But I'm going, I'm just saying with the theme, you guys kind of made it easy for me with that thought process that I think this guy's roughly the last guy in his tier. And like you said,
you could have made him the next pick and get him in the 9th round. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys ever do that? Like,
yeah,
even though you have both
time.
picks, you're like, oh no, he's going to go in the 8th round. He's going to go in the 9th round.
I absolutely do that.
I do it with tight ends early at the turn because I don't want tight end ADP to rise anymore. So like, I don't want like Darren Waller or George Kittle's ADP to rise that like 0.1. So I always take them in like the 3rd if I can instead of the 2nd if I'm on the turn. All right, Steven, you got the 9-1.
My second pick gets a little questionable, but and I might be throwing a little curveball here, but I think I'm going to take James Robinson.
Ooh,
go back to back
that time.
Just because I think it stays within that theme, and now I have a solid running back core and can fill it out with wide receivers and quarterbacks. So I'm excited.
Yeah. RIP to my our charity best ball draft. I took Travis Etienne and he's just sitting there in like my 6th round spot. And obviously he's got to pour one out for him, but I am happy because I have so much James Robinson everywhere. That was a guy that I was taking pretty much in all formats because I just thought, even with Etienne, I thought Etienne was going to be like a kind of a diverse pass game weapon, not just more like a JD McKissick. I thought, and Robinson could still function as that lead back. So now I think Robinson he's right back into my top 15. And we saw the kind of upside he has last year. So it would be crazy if like 2 years in a row, James Robinson is just like a league winner. Like it's like we didn't learn the first time. And then it's like right back.
No, everyone was like, who's going to be this year's James Robinson? It's like James Robinson.
James Robinson.
Yeah. James Robinson.
I like it. I like the way you're thinking, Samantha. I like it.
Speaking of Robinson, I think I'm going to go with Allen Robinson here. I just looked, both of my receivers have a bye week 13. So I need somebody that plays week 13. And like you said, Raybon, there's a pretty big tier here, but we're going to have to start taking these guys at some point. So I'm going to go receiver here.
I'm trying to guard me into starting a wide receiver run.
I know you're totally fine waiting for Tyler Lockett, but I'm just saying. I kind of like to be deep at receiver, not to get ahead of myself, but I might draft like 8 of them because, they're pretty volatile. You can use them in the flex. So I'm okay building out my depth here, even though, yeah, you could pick any one of these guys. The next 5 guys I think are interchangeable. I'm just taking Robinson because he doesn't have a bye on week 13.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned it. The last five guys, the next five guys at receiver are interchangeable. I am up with the third pick of the 9th round. Then Samantha has 2 picks, and then I'm up again. So what I'm actually going to do, because again, I still think this is a monster tier at wide receiver. I think they all have wide receiver 1 upside. I don't think there's a ton separating them. But what I do see is that after Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it's into the Josh Jacobs and Chris Carsons and of the world. In this type of format, I'm gonna take Edwards-Helaire. He's the last guy in a tier kind of his own.
That is a bummer for me
at the position. So yeah, I'm happy to keep sniping running backs. I'm usually not a very like running back surplus guy. I usually draft 1. Maybe 2 in the first 2 rounds, and then I don't touch it I go hammer receiver and tight end, until probably the 8th. But this format, I think it really calls for kind of trying to attack the tiers as you see them. And so that's why I'm going a little running back heavy early. But Samantha, you're up. 2 picks, 9th, last of the 9th, first of the 10th.
Man, I don't know what to do here. That was definitely.
You could go to actionnetwork.com and check out the rankings of Chris Raybon and Sean Koerner if you're in a bind.
But are those rankings specifically for 4-team drafts?
You can customize. Yeah, they can be.
Oh man, I still feel like I need another running back, but now I kind of don't like this tier of guys. So that was definitely a bummer.
Yeah, I think you have to wait at running back now. I mean, Josh Jacobs, I've been getting him in like the late 50s, early 60s in some underdog drafts, but his ADP on my fantasy league where we're doing this draft, it says 33. So I don't know if that's like an average of the whole offseason or what, but I usually see him going much later these days.
I got to think of 2 picks here now too. So much stress.
You could close your eyes and just pick wide receivers. I feel like you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, the end pick is tough.
All right, I'm reaching, but I'm going CeeDee Lamb with my first pick of this corner.
Ooh.
Spicy, I know.
I like it.
I'm so used to CeeDee Lamb going here anyway, just from playing all this best ball. Like he's like the wide receiver 9 or 10 in best ball anyway. So that doesn't even like count as a reach in my eyes.
All right. Well, that's good. And then I don't know, still I feel like there are some guys that I'm like willing to I really like J.K. Dobbins this year. So
yeah, like Raybon said, you can randomly pick a receiver, but careful. It looks like Cole Beasley is like the 5th man up, but what the hell is going on with this?
It's the COVID ranking.
Why
it's the all COVID team?
What is going on there? So yeah, don't randomly pick a receiver. You might get Cole Beasley.
Yeah, that would be a bummer. All right, I'm going J.K. Dobbins because I think while this is a next tier, significantly below Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he is the top of that tier for me. So
he does have that 15 touchdown upside. It's nuts about Dobbins because we all, we kind of look at him and a lot of people are concerned with his passing game usage. He ran nearly 50% of the routes per dropback last year. It's just Lamar Jackson doesn't really target running backs, and that offense is so low volume that he didn't have anything to show for it. But it's not like he wasn't getting passing game work. He just wasn't getting anything to show for it. So he has some room to grow there. But the routes are there, and I think you definitely play him over Gus Edwards in that role. So, in a half PPR format, I think he does have some of what you're looking for there.
Plus, I have a nice Raven stack sort of going here. So with Mark Andrews, Lamar, and Dobbins.
Yeah, that's a lot. That could be a lot of touchdowns.
I don't know if you're supposed to be stacking in 4-team drafts, but.
I mean, I got Mahomes, Tyreek, and Clyde Edwards. So, I was kind of, it's like the revenge for not getting Kelsey. I'm just getting all the rest of the guys, all the rest of the
just
team.
Making sure that Sean can't get the stack.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. I am up. Now the running backs, clearly to me, I don't see that much differentiation here with Jacobs and Carson and Montgomery and those guys. Carson would be the guy I would pick if I needed a running back, but I'm going to go and get my guy, Terry McLaurin. We know that Ryan Fitzpatrick has been a boon to number one wide receivers. McLaurin is very talented guy, very talented route runner. And regardless of the additions that Washington's made, if anything, I think that just helps McLaurin to continue to get his, 25% plus target share, because it's going to open some things up for him. But he's the alpha dog in that offense. So feel good about getting Terry, as my, I don't even know, what is it? My wide receiver. I haven't taken too many. I have Hopkins, Tyreek. He's my wide receiver 3. So yeah, I feel good about getting Terry as my wide receiver 3 in the 10th round. Sean, you're up.
Oh yeah, I really wanted Terry there.
Nice.
I think that I have to stick at wide receiver again. We're still looking at 6 guys that I'd be fine with. I'm gonna go with Mike Evans here, playing to my Peyton Manning year 2 theory that Tom Brady could go ape shit this year. And Mike Evans is the kind of guy you like in best ball. You don't need to figure out when he's gonna score a couple touchdowns. That what was it, week 3 last year, where he got 2 passes for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's perfect for best ball. So give me some of that. I'm gonna take Mike Evans here.
Well, it might have even been week 1 or whenever. Yeah, it was very early in the year. It might have been, because I feel like it was against the Saints. I could be wrong, but either way,
we had access to this machine that could find out. Yeah, it was week 3 against Denver.
Oh wow, yeah, yep, I see it. Yep, 2 catches on 4 targets for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is amazing. It's like it's like the tight end line. It's like the backup, the number 3 tight end line. 2 play action passes, or like the fullback.
God. You're right. So week 1, he had 1 catch for 2 yards, which happens to be a touchdown.
Yeah, so, that's what I was confusing it with, because Mike Evans does this.
Yeah.
He did not score a touchdown until week 6 last year. Just throwing that out there.
Wow.
So I'm going to go with the wide receiver here, the always underappreciated Robert Woods.
Oh, baby.
Bobby Trees. That's
yes. Bobby Trees.
All the rushing upside. he's kind of like a running back. He gives you a couple carries, a bunch of catches, but that rushing upside really, I think, sets him apart, because he doesn't just get like a carry here and there. He gets like over a carry a game, into the 2 range sometimes.
Yeah, they have to make you think that they are doing a jet sweep, so they have to give it to him a couple times for that offense to work. So yeah, great pick there.
And here's where it gets tough. It's funny, at the beginning of the draft, I sent Sean a DM and I was like, hey, how about we switch picks? I'll pick second and you pick first. He wasn't having it.
I wasn't going to be part of any of that collusion. Just so you know, Raybon is not going to let Tyler Lockett come back to you. So if you want Tyler Lockett,
damn, Sean knows me, man.
I love that. That was a great call.
There's another guy I have my eye on if I don't get Lockett. I have some, again, I talked about this in my fantasy draft primer up at actionnetwork.com right now, but in normal drafts, the wide receiver, the 3rd through the 5th, 6th round, aside from Hockinson, if I haven't got a stud tight end, I'm almost exclusively hammering wide receiver. I just love all of them. I think there's really just one huge tier. I know you can kind of break them up, but I think they all have similar upside. And I think it's the sweet spot to get wide receiver, whether it's Tyler Lockett or Godwin or Evans or Lamb or Thielen or Cooper. Like, there's just so many guys that I'm happy with, and really not many that I'm not, until you start getting to the early 6th round, maybe mid 6th round, and it starts thinning out. So that's kind of my advice to people. If you get the double running back start, or you get a tight end early, but once you start hitting rounds 3, 4, 5, it's such a great spot to gobble up the receivers.
Yeah, and
I did.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Samantha.
I was just going to say, in the draft last night, I did receivers in rounds 3, 4, and 5 consecutively.
Yeah.
I wasn't planning on doing that, but then DJ Moore fell to me in the 5th round. My other 2 were Godwin and Robinson, and I was pretty happy with that build. The only thing is my running backs are Joe Mixon and Mike Davis. So fingers crossed on them. But that's probably like my only weakness on that team.
Yeah. And I think honestly, a lot of times people overestimate like how much the running back 2 slot is really worth. I mean, I look back, since 2014, top 10 running backs, the median ADP for them to come off the board for running backs who finished top 10 was overall pick number 19. So it's like once that second round is over and those kind of the short thing guys are off the board, like you're just kind of chasing this RB2 upside that no one's really going to have, so I don't think it like kills you to just go after the upside that you can gauge a little more predictably, which is wide receiver upside, or, of course, like Hockinson, Andrews, if you need a tight end. So the pass catchers in general, I think, rounds 3, 4, 5, 6 pass catcher positions rounds. Oh, Miles Sanders.
No, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to try to back up.
You're like the commissioner, Sean.
I tried. I had 10 seconds left and it didn't let me pick.
Oh, so. No. You can. I'll give you permission to undo that because I don't think I've drafted Miles Sanders once. So yeah, I understand that wouldn't be the optimal pick here.
All right, how the hell do you fix that? All right, I was hoping I didn't have to do this.
I'm surprised. I would have not picked that you would have had to do it for yourself. Like I would have definitely the field would have definitely been my choice if I was a betting man. So
there should be a revert pick little button.
It should be more prominent, but I guess they don't want people getting in the habit of that.
Undo last pick.
Last night, they undid so many picks. It was so frustrating, but actually one of them was really funny. Someone asked the commissioner to undo their 5th round pick, which was Javonte Williams, to take Tom Brady in a 1 quarterback league. It's like a whole bunch of quarterbacks on the board. Obviously, this is more like a home league. So, but I was just like, wait, do I have that backwards? Like, did you take Tom Brady by accident? No. I was like, I'll allow it, please, by all means.
Oh yeah. Anytime you could take a quarterback in the 5th round, it doesn't even have rushing upside. You just got to do it.
All right. My real pick is in. I was trying to take Chris Godwin. So the Evans Godwin high floor stack is in.
All right. So now I still see, and this is why I felt good about going after running backs at the end of the tier. And I think it illustrates tiers very well, is that I still have Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, and Cooper Kupp on the board. 3 guys that I take in the 3rd round of, a normal 12-team draft. Cooper even early 3rd round. So Cooper is going to be the guy I'm going to go with here. His ADP seems to be a little lower here than it is in other places that I'm drafting. So
this ADP is funky though.
Yeah, like it's so
Beasley
funky.
is next to Adam Thielen. So.
I love it.
Honestly, so I am not seeing that on mine. I clicked the ADP button and sort by ADP. I don't know what you guys are sorting by, but like
I don't know. It's just the default.
Rank.
Rank. Yeah.
What's rank? Who's rank?
I don't like it.
I mean, a lot of people listen to this podcast. Can somebody who knows what's going on at my fantasy league tell me whose ranks are these?
I love that the auto pick goes off this. Like if you miss your pick here, you should get Miles Sanders. So
yeah, no, is that? But like, I need to know if that was the.
I think it's the Draft Sharks rankings. So take it up with them. That's
not very shark-like. Cole Beasley in the 4th round. So I would hope it's not actually the Draft Sharks rankings, but bear with me. I'm going to actually give you guys the whole board again, just for people, you might have gotten a little, off track here. 4-man best ball league with one of our top listeners, Steven Dominguez, who took Christian McCaffrey, number 1. Then it went Kelsey, Cook, Henry, Waller, Kittle, Kamara, Elliott, Hockinson, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stefan Diggs, ended the first 3 rounds. Mark Andrews, Mahomes, Allen, Metcalf in the 4th, Murray, Pitts, Hopkins, Jackson in the 5th, Ridley, Jones, Aaron Jones, that is, Eckler, Chubb in the 6th, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Joe Mixon, Saquon in the 7th, with Keenan Allen, Najee Harris, Jonathan Taylor in the 8th round. And then we come to the 9th, we get James Robinson. Steven took him, as that kind of running back to solidify his running back corpse. Allen Robinson went right after, followed by CEH and CD Lamb. Then J.K. Dobbins, Terry McLaurin, Evans, and Woods in the 10th. Now Lockett, Godwin, Amari, and Julio in the 11th. So a strong wide receiver round in the 11th. I mean, that's some really good value at wideout. I was really
hoping he would make it back to
Yeah, great pick in Julio Jones, Samantha. And then you follow that up with Chris Carson, who is a guy that probably the guy that I take the most if I need a running back in that tier. I take him over a guy like Dobbins, Montgomery. I just feel confident in him, being in that offense with Russell Wilson. Pete Carroll loves them. You're talking about raising a tempo, so I think his usage will actually be his volume will be a little greater than it was last year. So I have nothing bad to say about Chris Carson. I mean, he's a guy that I do like.
I was hoping he'd make it back to me. I'm so mad right now.
All right. So again, still going to attack this wide receiver position because Cooper Kupp, another guy that I draft in the 3rd round. And even after this big wide receiver run with Woods and Lockett and Godwin and Cooper and Julio, we still have Cooper Kupp on the board here. So I'm going to go ahead and take him. And Sean is always talking about if Adam Thielen falls to him. So that's kind of what's happening now. But DJ Moore is also there. You still got Deontay Johnson and Jamar Chase. But then you start, Odell Beckham I like, Higgins I like, but Michael Thomas and some other guys here that start to worry you a little. So the wide receiver tiers are going to fall off pretty soon. So interested to see what you do here, Sean.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought for sure Chris Carson would make it back to me. I really want to get my 4th running back here. I think we will, start to dip into this frozen pond. So you know what? I was talking about earlier with Saquon Barkley. It's really easy to survive a slow start if your 5th back is somebody like Miles Sanders. So I'm going DeAndre Swift here. I think in the meantime, Alvin Kamara, Austin Eckler, and Jonathan Taylor should hold over my running back production. So I like, Swift's upside for the rest of the season. He might get off to a slow start, but fine having him as my RB4.
Yeah, and that's Kamara, Eckler, Jonathan Taylor, your other 3 running backs. So you got some nice PPR upside going there with Kamara and Eckler, and then obviously Taylor, looks to continue what he did in year 1, especially down the stretch here in year 2. So Steven, you're up. We're already in round 12, man. So now decisions start to get pretty interesting here. I think you could go a lot of different directions.
Yeah, definitely. I still think, I'm only at 4 wide receivers. So I still think, and I'm really torn between, I'll let you guys know, between DJ Moore and Deontay Johnson here. I like them both. But I think I'm gonna go with the safer pick and go DJ Moore here. I think he's got a lot of talent, and it's always interesting to go back to back. So I might just go ahead and fill out my wide receiver core. But instead of going Deontay, I don't want to miss this guy. It may be a bit of a reach, but I absolutely love him this year. So I'm going to take Brandon Iuke.
I was wondering about him. I'm looking at this ADP, and there are a couple of guys that usually go a lot earlier. Iuke is one of them. T. Higgins, another, that are kind of down a little further than you would think. So that's another tip for anyone out there. Like, remember to like mock draft or have your own, you use Sean and our rankings at actionnetwork.com, but don't just go into a draft and like be influenced by ADP, because sometimes it can lead you in ridiculous directions and you can miss out on some clear values.
Last night, I felt like the top guys all went exactly pretty much where you thought they were going to go in the correct order. And then at a certain point, everyone just kind of did their own thing, and it was pretty quick. And I think in a lot of people's drafts, like, you're going to get value like after that 3rd round when people kind of start bifurcating from the like really top guys that they all know. And then after that, you can definitely get really good value with like a lot of receivers.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I always kind of, tell people that don't come into drafts with like this set in stone early round strategy, because that, that's going to kind of mess you up when things inevitably go off script, and you have to be ready to just take advantage of value. So that's like my main gripe with, all these popular like running back strategies and like, oh, you're going to go zero or hero or surplus. It's like, I don't want to plan my top 3 picks. It's like, I know where the tiers and the value lies. And yeah, more often than not, I usually come out the first 2 rounds with at least one running back. And more often than not, I take receivers in rounds 3 through 5, but I'm never going into a draft planning to do it, because I know there's always the possibility of something going completely off script. And all you need is one pick to go off script to kind of get you some value somewhere else. So Sean, you did it. You took Adam Thielen. The guy you just told Fantasy Flex podcast listeners to fade. He was your bust. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're not a good analyst. You can't do that. You can't do that. Everyone's going to be mad.
All right. Well, if you let me talk, this is a teachable moment, because like I said, when I fade players, mostly it's not because I don't like them. It's they typically don't follow me, or there's other reasons. This is the right price to take Adam Thielen. And by the way, my hat now makes sense because I finally took a Vikings player. But,
that was very galaxy brain. You knew you were going to get him in round 13 of this draft, and you wore that hat for that.
Exactly. I predicted this. But, he has a very low floor. I keep mentioning he busted 27% of the time last year, but he does have that touchdown upside, which we like in best ball. And I think he's my 6th wide receiver. So, I do like having him as a, high ceiling kind of player. We can survive the low points. So that's my stance on that is, season long head-to-head leagues. I still think he's a player you should avoid. But I like him for best ball.
All right. I'm on the clock here. Thielen just went. Still a few wide receivers that I like here. So, a wide receiver, again, in these middle rounds, I just start hammering them. I got Kupp, Cooper, Mclaren. In the last 3, I also got DeAndre Hopkins and Tyreek Hill earlier. So I'm up to my wide receiver 6 spot. In my wide receiver 6 spot, I'm going to go with a guy that I think should be the number 1 drafted wide receiver on the Bengals. It's not always the case, but T. Higgins, I think, is going to have a monster season. I love, the year 2 breakout potential for him. So
no, you took Logan Thomas.
Oh no!
Here, hold on.
Wait, I swear I pressed it though.
That actually sounds like a Raybon pick. You love Logan Thomas, but let me.
I like him compared to like the other tight ends, but no, yeah. I'm fully on record as saying you should wait. But yeah, the tight ends, it's all about routes. That's all that's Logan Thomas. But yeah, I love T. Higgins this year. I usually take him in the top 50 in the 4th round or early 5th in a normal 12-team league. So for him to last to 13.03, I feel really good. Another guy who, for some reason in this ADP, is knocked down a little. But I fully believe that owners drafters should be taking him over Jamar Chase as the top wide receiver in Cincinnati, especially given the camp and just the median outcomes for wide receiver 1st round picks that are rookies. You're going to get your ceiling guys, but the median outcome is still, going to be below 1,000 yards. It's going to be somewhere in that, wide receiver 30 to 45 range where they're going to finish. So I really like Higgins here. I think, with AJ Green gone, you're going to get 30% plus of the air yards. So going Higgins. Samantha, what you thinking with this 1304 and 1401? We're getting up there.
You took Higgins from me. That was going to be my next pick. So I am going to go with Deontay Johnson with at least one of these picks. I guess I'll draft him now, so the auto draft doesn't give me Logan Thomas.
Right. Like, yeah, it's like a cruel joke that they try to play on you. It's like, yeah, you're getting Cole Beasley or Logan Thomas. How do you like that?
That's the way it should be.
That's so funny. And then I don't know what to do here. I feel like I'm leaner at running back than most people right now, especially since I have 2 tight ends. So I'm like one position
you
behind
need receivers that play week 7. It looks like.
Oh.
Yeah, you got Keenan Allen, CeeDee Lamb are both on bye. in week
Deontay
7, as is
Johnson.
Deontay Johnson. So
Okay.
yeah, you got to start thinking, and Stefan Diggs. So you got to start thinking about buys here a little bit. Good call on pointing that out, Sean. Because
I wanted to wait till she had 4.
All right, let's see. I think I'm gonna go. Well, now it's kind of between Jamar Chase and Odell Beckham. Probably gonna go Odell here, and he has a week 13 bye. So
there you go. Now it's just like a battle of a race to try to fit in enough guys that don't have a bye in week 12.
That is definitely something that I have trouble monitoring. So thank you.
Oh man. Yeah. So now we're getting to the point where the wide receiver tiers are starting to drop off. You have Jamar Chase here. You have Chase Claypool, a little banged up. Kenny Galladay, a little bit of uncertainty there. Jerry Jeudy, should be a breakout candidate, but I think it's kind of leveled out at wide receiver a little bit more than in the previous rounds. So I'm going to actually go back to the spot where I think there's still a tier here of guys that I want to be in the, get one from before it runs out. And that is the quarterback position. And so I am going to go and take the first quarterback in a very long time. And I'll go and take my shot with Dak Prescott here. Nice. I know he's having some there's some question marks about the injury, but I do have the Amari Cooper stack here. And I think that Cowboys defense is going to be really bad. So I like Prescott. I also like Russell Wilson a lot because I think that potential tempo increase is not to be ignored. I mean, Russell Wilson's already one of the most efficient quarterbacks of all time. So with a tempo increase, you could see some performances like Dak last year, where he was like 400 yards every week. So, can't go wrong, in my opinion, with Wilson or Dak. And that's the end of that top 6 tier at quarterback. So I'm happy to get a second guy from that tier to bookend Mahomes. I'm
now just realizing that both my tight ends have the same bye weeks.
Oh my goodness.
Oh. Well, you could drop the third.
the pitfalls of a 4-man draft.
So
I'm just getting used to this UI, so it's very jarring for me.
For the longest time, I was thinking about taking Dak, but I have Josh Allen, who has a bye week 7, and with a 4-man league, I don't want 3 quarterbacks. So I couldn't take Russell Wilson until Dak was off the board. So thank you for doing that, Raybon.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Russell Wilson here.
I figured you would.
I was going to take him no matter what here and have to explain why I'm taking him over Dak, but that's why I'm only drafting 2 quarterbacks and they can't both have the same bye. So that's why I wanted to go Wilson there.
Yeah. And again, I don't even see a problem with that. Right. Period. Like I have them very close in my rankings and it could go either way. So I think the important thing is if you've kind of solidify your team in those first 5-6 rounds and you can get a quarterback like Wilson or Dak, especially in round 7 or late round 6. But, if those guys drop, I think you really just want to get one of those guys in that tier more than like split hairs between which one. I think they're both going to be great. And that's really the tier where quarterback drops off a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. And if this were a 12-person league, I would be considering Tom Brady with my Evans Godwin stack. But since I only have to beat 3 other people, I don't think you need to make, that big of a deal with stacks.
Yeah. I think it's more just take best player available. I think that's what this is a exercise in doing with some roster construction built in. But Steven, you're on the board here. Pick 1404 and 1501. How are you doing with the bye week situations? Are you straight or?
I'm good with bye weeks. That was an absolute dagger from Sean with Russell Wilson. Did not think, because that would have been a double stack. I got Metcalf and Lockett.
Oh yeah,
I was salivating. I don't know if Sean had that.
My bad. You should know that I'm taking Russell Wilson there, though.
I know. So I'm torn. Aaron Rodgers is the guy I should be taking. I don't want kind of a tier to fall off, but Jalen Hurts is super tempting. I don't think I'm going to do it, but when you're playing in a 4-man league, you want that crazy upside, and there's not a lot of quarterbacks with rushing Well, before my timer runs out, so you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take.
Auto pick.
Oh no!
Logan
I
Thomas
wanted to take.
gets picked for the second time in this draft.
Sorry.
He is the most drafted player.
Yeah. No, I wanted to take Jalen Hurts. I almost got it. I'm gonna take it. I think it's. I just want to be a little bit more risky with it, and I'm not sure if Aaron Rodgers is going to keep it up this year. He may, but that rushing upside with Jalen Hurts is.
Did it undo the
super exciting? Yeah, it did. So I should be able to take it.
Oh no, I think I have to make.
Oh no! Now Russell Wilson's back on the board
again. All right.
Hey Steven, maybe you can get Russell Wilson after all.
All right, so I'm taking Russell Wilson again. There you go.
So just to recap, in the last couple of rounds, starting in the 11th, we had Tyler Lockett, then Godwin, Cooper, and Julio Jones go in that order. Samantha led off the 12th with Chris Carson in our four-man best ball draft. Cooper Kupp then goes after that, followed by DeAndre Swift. Sean taking a little bit of a risk, doesn't mind the early season, disappointment in a best ball. DJ Moore. After that, then Brandon Ayuk, Adam Thielen, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Odell Beckham, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. So a little bit, I started a quarterback run. I feel good about that. And Steven, I will say that I have taken Jalen Hurts over Rodgers on occasion. Usually I can wait and then get him. The guys I usually have to take him over is Tom Brady more so than Rodgers. They tend to be in that same range, but I do agree that Hurts has that upside that profiles more as one of those top 6 guys, whereas Rodgers, and Brady too, you're just kind of counting on them, throwing, 30, high 30s or 40s plus touchdowns, and just being those brilliant pocket passers that they've been pretty much their entire careers.
Yeah, I thought it over, and I've got Kyler Murray. He's got plenty of rushing upside, and Aaron Rodgers is 100% going to stay on the field for that team. If he's not hurt, he's never going to get benched or nothing. He's not going to get.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson won't get traded to his team. So I eliminate that risk. And I think Aaron Rodgers is just the safer play there.
Yeah. And I like that you took Aaron Rodgers over Justin Herbert. He was a guy that I pointed out in my, in our Bust podcast. And I just think, when you look back on it at the end of the year, you might say, wow, like did we take Justin Herbert over Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Jalen Hurts? Like, Justin Herbert, of all the guys, kind of profiles more as like a guy that you could get a little later. Like, he doesn't have that supreme rushing upside. And I don't know that, he necessarily is going to be like a Rodgers, Brady, efficiency guy either. So he's in this no man's land where, if the volume decreases with the 70 plays per game from last year, I think he could be a bust, at least compared to Rodgers, Brady, and Hurts. So Herbert is the guy I think I'm glad you avoided and took Rodgers over him. I do like that order of picking those guys.
So I was going to take Logan Thomas, but somehow he's already on my team. So I'm not sure how that happened.
Oh,
yeah. I'm not sure how that. I wanted to get my second tight end.
What are you doing here, Sean? You got the draft paused, or is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's see.
But I'm still up, and I think Logan Thomas was on my roster from that mistake from earlier. So I'm not sure if you have to revert picks a couple times again.
I don't see him.
Samantha, you mentioned you're all in on Kyle Pitts, who is, along with Hockinson and Andrews, kind of that end of that tight end tier. Is that because you are down on Logan Thomas at all? Or what are your thoughts on Thomas? He's kind of a guy that I feel like he doesn't get talked about enough in like, okay, he's a bust, or okay, he's a value. Like, he's just kind of flying under the radar. So curious what your thoughts are on him.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely like Kyle Pitts. I feel like that tier is interchangeable with Andrews and Hockinson. So I'm happy getting either one of them. I think we're all on the same page that there's a very palpable drop off to the next tier. That said, that next tier to me is led by Logan Thomas. What keeps him from flirting with that second tier is just kind of a number of things. There are a lot of Washington pass catchers. That defense is going to be strong, and Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't have the best track record with producing fantasy tight ends. So, those are the things that are against him, but I still think he is going to be a very strong tight end one.
Yeah, there are some risk factors. I think you also have like that 1 year of production, which, if he was a rookie or a year two guy, it'd be a little more understandable, but he's more of a veteran, did the position switch and all that. But the thing that I was, if you're going to argue to take Logan Thomas, it's because of the routes, because tight ends just need routes to produce. If you're not a Kelsey, if you're not a stud, it's just who's getting the most routes. And Logan Thomas ran a route on over 90% of the dropbacks for the football team last year on a week in, week out basis. And it looks like that same role is going to be headed his way this year as well, because there's not really anyone behind him. So, same reason I like a guy like Evan Ingram much later in the draft. I just think there's certain guys that they're going to run more routes than the majority of other players at the position. And it's not sexy, but that's kind of how it goes with tight end. It's a really tough position to rank on a weekly basis. It's a really tough position to kind of sort through after that top six. So, Steven, you finally got Logan Thomas. So you went,
yes, sir,
Rodgers and Logan Thomas here in the 14. So kind of shoring up your onesie positions, so to speak.
Yep, that was my idea, and you're spot on with the routes. I mean, it was a tough call between him and Fant. Fant's got a little bit of a leg injury from what I read earlier today, so it helped me split the baby. And Fitzpatrick, I'm actually a Redskins fan, or excuse me, a Washington football team fan. So I got to represent with at least one player.
Yeah,
and I'll make it Logan Thomas.
Yeah, and I think there's actually no contest between Thomas and Noah Fant. I think that Noah Fant starts this huge glut of tight ends where Sean, you might have said this on a podcast. I think it was the Bust one, but like he could be that tight end 8 or the tight end 16, and it's not going to be much of a difference. Whereas I think Thomas is like standalone as that only guy that's getting that route share. Like there's no one else really getting that. So I'm fine with fading Noah Fant. He's got a lot of talent, but you can't draft everybody. And I just don't think there's a lot of value in trying to pick between these tight ends. And I said this, I forget if it was last year or the year before, but there was 1 year where we were all or a lot of the industry was kind of infatuated with the bottom half of the tight end tier. And it was all these upside guys. And I was like, that's great and all, but if I don't know which one to pick, then it's not really valuable to me. So I still want a stud. And that's kind of how I feel there. It's like, if I can't get a top 6 guy, I'll take Thomas if he's at ADP. I'm not going to reach on him. But speaking of value, Sean, you just got Jamar Chase a little later than he usually goes. What are your thoughts on him? Because, he is having the rough camp. Looks like, maybe he doesn't hit the ground running as much as we thought. Maybe he's not like a top 20, top 18 guy that he was being drafted at a little earlier. But obviously you got to feel good about getting him, as a value.
Yeah, I think I figured he would get off to a bit of a slow start. I mean, he sat out the entire 2020 season. He's had a rough start to camp. So he's the guy that I don't mind if he's my wide receiver 7 and he needs a few games to get his feet wet. We saw that with Justin Jefferson last year where he needed a couple of games to get going, and then we saw what happened. So I just love getting the upside with Chase here. Wide receiver 26 sounds about right for me. I think anything inside the top 24 might be a little bit too high, but I think this is the time to take a guy like Chase.
Yeah, absolutely. This is when, there's not as much differentiating some of these guys. You could take some risks here. It's what we got 3 rounds left, 4 rounds left, 15, 16, 17, and 18. I'm going to stay at the wide receiver position. I'm going to take a guy that we talked about earlier. Don't love the quarterback situation, but Robbie Anderson is still a guy that, Sean, as you always say, never underestimate Robbie. So taking him here.
How dare you?
Oh yeah, I got to continue with the snipe.
You were even joking that he wouldn't even be drafted, and you're the guy that takes him in front of me and Steven. Oh my god.
Oh
what
yeah,
a heartbreaker.
Great pick.
Hey, I feel like Samantha might have sniped you if I hadn't. So it's getting that time of the draft where because we're all familiar with each other, we kind of know the guys we're trending towards. So yeah, I'm trying to stay ahead of the curve here.
So unfortunately, I messed this tight end thing up, of course, with 2 guys with a week 8 bye. So I will take another guy here. I'm gonna take Noah Fant. I feel a little bit more positive about all the pass catchers with Teddy Bridgewater, but I don't think there's like a huge, I'm not bumping him up multiple spots in my head. But a little more confident, I guess, at this point.
And so you weren't planning to take 3 tight ends.
No.
Normally is what you're saying. Just kind of speak to that a little bit, Samantha. Is this did you kind of go in planning to do 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends and maximize the other positions, or do you just kind of let it fall to you as it shakes out?
Yeah, I think that's generally how I would do it. I'd get 2 of the onesie positions and then just get depth elsewhere. I miscalculated the quarterback runs both times. So I don't even know what I'm going to do at quarterback. I'm going to end up with, hold on. I'm just going to draft Noah Fant really quickly. And then
we can't get Logan Thomas. So who knows what you would get on an auto pick.
Yeah, I wonder. Yesterday when the auto draft just kept going, it was always Antonio Brown. And then it was roll it back.
That's not even a bad auto pick. You get one of the best receivers of all time, or at least one guy that was considered as such at one point in his career. It's not the worst. It's not Cole Beasley. It's better. It's a step or 5 up from Cole Beasley.
Cole Beasley might not even play a game this year. So
I know, what's that all about? I
need a quarterback, and
just don't infect my guy Gabe Davis, man. I saw he went on the COVID list too. You're just killing me, Cole Beasley. You're killing me.
All right, I know you guys are down on Justin Herbert, but I think
just me.
I feel the most confident about it's between him and Tom Brady at this point. And I have Keenan Allen on my roster, and I don't think I have any Bucks. So that's going to break the tie here.
Sean, does Justin Herbert have Peyton Manning second-year Bronco upside?
No. Next question. No, Tom Brady does, though.
You're right, Samantha. I guess we are lower on Herbert because I think I would have gone Brady there. It's just I do hate taking the pocket passer. I get it. It's unsexy. Herbert does have some rushing upside, but I just look at those 70 plays per game last year, and I think how is he going to repeat that this year, and what happens if he doesn't? That's my my main concern with him. I obviously he still has a good supporting cast, and the O-line should be a lot better with Winsley. So still a strong pick, but I'm going Brady over him.
I mean, I don't hate him at QB8. It's between him and Brady. And like I said, I guess the stat kind of broke the tie there.
I'm betting Brady for MVP, by the way. The Bucs have this ridiculously easy schedule this year. Tom Brady wins the MVP every few years. And this might be their last chance to give him one more. And they might go 15-2. So if they go 15-2 and Tom Brady throws 35, 40 touchdowns, he's got to be the favorite to win MVP. So I know this is not the betting podcast, but Tom Brady for MVP, just putting that out there. Look at the schedule and you'll understand. I'm not even going to – I've read it already out loud on a different podcast, but just look at the Bucs schedule, then think about all the weapons Tom Brady has, and then go bet him for MVP. All right, before my auto pick runs out, I could take Tom Brady here, but I already have 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, you said that would be a perfect segue.
I really don't want 3 quarterbacks though. Wait, hold on. Can we? I think okay.
Yeah,
we're good. I am going to. I think I could squeeze one more out of this wide receiver tier, and I'll take a shot on. Let's go with Kenny Golladay here. a guy who no one's really excited about, but when he's been healthy, he's been performing at a high level. Daniel Jones has been actually one of the better deep ball throwers. So Kenny Golladay at this point in the draft, just taking a kind of a dart throw. Claypool is another guy I like here, but he's a little banged up. In full PPR, Debo, Juju, other guys, Jarvis Landry. I also take in this range, but going to go with the air yard guy in the half PPR.
Are you concerned at all about the hamstring situation?
Absolutely, always. That's kind of what you're getting in this range. It's like I'm not doing Michael Thomas. That's I'm really concerned about. And then just because it's half PPR, I want some air yards. So I guess I could have gone Judy. But I don't know exactly how all these mouths in Denver get fed when it's like Judy and Sutton and it's so gonna take the shot on Golladay. But if I did it 100 times, I would have a decent amount of Claypool in that spot as well. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Claypool here.
Yeah,
I'm just checking my bye weeks, but I keep wanting to take running back, and then I'm like, ugh, don't want to do that yet. So I'm gonna like keep letting you guys decide which running back I'm gonna get next, but it's not pretty.
In a 18 man roster, what is you guys' normal positional breakdown? I know for me it's usually 2 quarterback, 2 tight end, and 5 running back, 9 receiver, or 6 running back, 8 receiver. Samantha, I'll start with you. What is your normal breakdown in an 18 man best ball?
Sorry, so you're talking about in a normal 12 team best ball?
Yeah, like an underdog or something like that. When you're like an 18 man roster where it's, are you going 5 running back, 9 receivers, 6 running back, 8 receivers? Like, do you not even think about the positional numbers at all as you're drafting, or?
It's not something that I necessarily keep in mind. I try to keep the running backs and wide receivers fairly balanced with maybe one more. So 6 and 8 sounds pretty correct for me.
Steven, what about you?
Yeah, I'm really along the same lines. I think in terms of roster construction, it's what comes to you, but I try not to have more than 1 quarterback and try not to have more than 1 tight end because of the waiver wire. But I ended up going with Jerry Jeudy here. I'm super excited to get the pick. I know that you mentioned him, and it was between Chase Claypool. I know Sean took him, but I'm excited now that Teddy Bridgewater's starting. I think he's going to be a lot better fit with Jerry Jeudy. I was reading earlier that in terms of ADOT, Teddy Bridgewater throws a lot more accurate short passes, and I think that lends itself to Jerry Jeudy's game in the slot. So I'm going to go with him, and then I want to grab one last running back. And as much as I hate it, I really thought about taking Kareem Hunt here to kind of raise my floor with Chubb. But let me know what you guys think of that strategy. I'm going to draft Jacobs instead, but would love to hear what you guys think. In that situation, do you not want them because they're both gone on bye weeks, or is it smart to raise your floor having 2 power running backs like that on the same team?
I would say I would do the floor raising in more of a redraft league, because this is a best ball and it's a 4-man where everyone has these high upside rosters. I think it makes sense to kind of diversify a little more. Yeah. In a season long where I have a bench and I can kind of maneuver my starting lineup, then I'm always happy to have a Chubb and a Hunt, or, a Jones and an AJ Dillon, or somebody like that where, it raises my floor. But yeah, in this format, I think you go with the upside. And I love the Jacobs pick, by the way. I think he's falling too far in all formats.
Yeah, he's who I wanted next. So great pick. But yeah, for a redraft league, it would be nice to have Chubb and Hunt, because not only will Hunt's value go up if Chubb misses time, he'll be a top 5 running back. I mean, even Nick Chubb's value will go up if Kareem Hunt were to go out. So you're basically guaranteed an RB1 all season long. So in this format, you just want Nick Chubb to stay healthy, and then Josh Jacobs can provide you some scores along the way as well. So I think you made the right call there. That's going to force me to take David Montgomery here. I didn't want to do this, but I think I have to. I think I need to get my 5th running back here. Very worried about the O-line here. But we've already seen that, he does have top 5 upside if everything goes his way. So that's why I'm taking Montgomery here.
Nice. Finally got one on Sean.
Yeah, well, you got a couple. I mean, Jerry Jeudy and Josh Jacobs. I wanted both those guys. So.
Oh, nice.
All right. So I still do need a second tight end. I only have George Kittle. And then there's 2 picks left. And I have 5 running backs and it looks like 8 receivers. So I'll kind of let the value dictate whether I go with a 9th or not. But Kittle is on bye in week 6. So I'm going to need a tight end here. And the guy I'm going to take is Robert Tonyan. And the reason being is, again, all these tight ends are just in a glut. So I know Tonyan, he should regress from the ridiculous catch rate, the ridiculous touchdown rate, but he does have Aaron Rodgers. So if anyone's going to catch double-digit touchdowns at the position outside of the stud tier, Tonyan's right there at the top of the list. And remember, a guy like Jimmy Graham caught 8 touchdowns last year. It's hard to predict, but Tonyan, at least there's some, you can look at the guys on the board and say, okay, he might catch 10 touchdowns. He might. So Tunyan's going to be the guy bookend George Kittle with just getting myself some touchdown upside. I don't think I'll need my tight end 2 all that much if things go as according to plan with Kittle, or my team might be in trouble anyway.
So I really like Kareem Hunt here, I think. I like that I said that I really like him, I think. Very convincing.
Oh, yeah. You sound completely sold on Kareem Hunt. All the way in.
Well, I mean, I have fewer spots because I had to take 3 tight ends. So I'm only going to end up with probably 5 running backs, which is a little lean. And I just I want Miles Sanders to be someone else's problem. So
yeah, that's how I kind of feel about him. Like I get that he could run for 1,000 yards. He usually has the good yard per carry, but the pass game usage thing, it worries me a little bit. And it's a new regime. They drafted him back in Gainwell. Boston Scott was a guy that they were using, a lot in camp as well. So there's just a little too much uncertainty. Usually to go get away from like a much more short thing at pass catcher. And that's kind of the theme for me in those middle rounds. They're just pass catchers with higher floor ceiling combos than most of those running backs in that range.
All right. And then now, since I have 4 receivers on bye in week 7, probably get another receiver that doesn't have a week 7 bye. Let's see. Sorry.
So not Cole Beasley then.
Yeah.
I know. I literally was like, why is Cole Beasley at the top here again? If I run out of time, it's going to be Cole Beasley.
No, you don't want to do that.
I'm between Tyler Boyd and Cortland Sutton at this point. I think I'm going to go Sutton. Boyd. I waffled too much. And that will be my last pick.
Yeah, Sutton is he's a guy I generally avoid. There's a lot of uncertainty there. I would have gotten it in a format like this, though. He would give you the air yards in theory, but I mean, I don't think we know if he's truly healthy, and he hasn't practiced a ton. So I'm not a guy I feel like is a must draft in this range.
Wouldn't you think that now that Teddy Bridgewater is the week 1 quarterback, that hurts Sutton?
I really just think it hurts the Denver Broncos because they don't have a quarterback. So I'm like, I already kind of like when they were like, it's going to be Locke versus Bridgewater instead of Justin Fields, or, like when they decided not to do a quarterback and they didn't get Rodgers, and I was already out on like the Broncos quarterback situation. So I'm not, it's like splitting hairs. I think, is Bridgewater going to be better? Cause like we thought Robbie Anderson wasn't going to be a match for Bridgewater, and that turned out okay. So I'm not going to knock it. But just more so, there's a lot of uncertainty with Sutton. I am going to go for my last pick. I don't like anything in this running back tier, so I'm gonna hold tight with the 5 running backs. I kind of got them early, so I feel good about them, and I'm gonna take a shot here on Deebo Samuel. Another guy, kind of that poor man's Robert Woods, has some rushing upside. I think I have the George Kittle already, so that maybe, that could be an interesting thing. A guy I've been drafting in best ball leagues in 12 teamers with the last pick sometimes is Jimmy G, just because in those big tournaments, I don't think anyone's going to draft him. And a lot of people are drafting Lance very early. So there's a chance that, like, if Lance doesn't start all year, there's just some interesting differentiation there with, no one really having like a stack of Jimmy G and Kittle and Samuel or Iuke. So I've been doing that. But yeah, I'm going to go Deebo here. I like the bounce back appeal here for Deebo. We got 2 picks left.
Yeah, I really want to take Michael Thomas here just to piss Raybon off. But my wide receivers are pretty damn good. Usually I would take another receiver here, but I think running back might be my weakness. So I'm going to take another shitty running back here with Miles Sanders. Like I said, I'm okay having him be my 5th or 6th running back. We saw some of that big play upside when Jalen Hurts was under center last year. So I think he does, even though he is limited in terms of the passing game, I think he has that big playability that will help as my 6th running back. And I got to get through, DeAndre Swift could be fine week 1, but there is some concern there. So that's why I'm taking a 6th running back here. That wasn't my plan going into this, but that's what I'm doing.
He could be an interesting, like, early season trade opportunity guy, because he's going to start off with the Falcons. He should have I can see myself having him ranked higher in week 1 than I'll have him ranked for the rest of the year. Yeah. So that's something to monitor if you are drafting him. Just be prepared to sell high if the opportunity comes, because he might have a very good week 1 against Atlanta. Steven, last pick of the draft.
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Irrelevant. Is it going to be irrelevant?
It's funny. I actually made the same mistake Samantha did, and I just recently noticed it. So as much as I'd love to take a receiver here, I think I'm going to take Tyler Higbee. He's got some good upside in that Rams offense. And that way it looks like Logan Thomas and TJ Hockinson have week 9 buys. So
Brutal.
let me get Higbee and join Samantha in the pity party.
Look, the UI is very hard to see. It's not like other formats, other platforms where I feel like you see it immediately. So then I realized I had to like pull it up on a second tab, and that's on me, to be clear.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like Higbee plays the Titans week 9, so that's a good matchup for him. You're going to need his score.
Yeah, you're going to need Jared Goff, but no. So okay, so that was our 18 round 4-man best ball draft with listener Steven Dominguez. Let's quickly everyone, I'll give you guys a chance, starting with you, Steven, to just run through your teams, some of your favorite picks, some of the guys you are worried about, and just how you thought your draft went.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's always fun to start a draft off with CMC. I think probably in retrospect, I may have gone Kelsey just because of the positional scarcity. I was torn between the two, but I love my running backs. Ezekiel Elliott, Antonio Gibson, James Robinson, and Josh Jacobs round out a good running back stable, and then DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, Robert Woods, Tyler Lockett, Brandon Ayuk, and Jerry Jeudy, great wide receivers. I would have loved to get – I think one of the things that hurts the most was I'm not getting the Russell Wilson stack with both of those receivers. That would have been great. But, Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers, I think, are a balanced duo. And then I think the only kind of snafu regret would be the 3 tight ends. I would have loved to get a 7th wide receiver. Just because there's 3 slots that you have to fill in, but Logan Thomas, TJ Hockinson, and Tyler Higbee. But listen, I'm going against 3 Titans over here. So I did better than I thought I would, and had a great time doing it. So thank you guys for the opportunity, and I had a great time, and I hope I beat all 3 of you.
It was our pleasure. I kind of hope you do too, man. Like, I'm rooting for you. Samantha, what about your draft? How did you feel it turned out?
I don't feel like it turned out exactly how I wanted, but also this is completely new to me. So I'm going to give myself that I've never done one of these 4-man drafts. So I started out with Derrick Henry. I got the third running back off the board. It was between him and Kamara in half PPR. I just kind of lean a little bit more towards Derrick Henry. And then took the second tight end, Darren Waller, just knowing that there was going to be a tight end run and there was only 2 guys left in that top tier. And then there was going to be a significant drop off. So I'm happy about those 2 picks. Then I got Stefan Diggs, who I think has the upside to finish as wide receiver 1 this season. He is my third wide receiver, so he went after Hill and Adams, but I feel good about that. And then I like the Mark Andrews pick in a vacuum, but obviously not with the bye week situation. So that was a little bit of a snafu on my part. But that said, I still really like having 2 really good tight ends. Especially with the way kind of this format is. I misjudged the quarterback run because that was like kind of when I was like on the Andrews pick that I was like, quarterbacks are going to start going, but I don't want to be the first for some reason. And yeah, so I think you guys took the top 3 and I ended up with Lamar Jackson, which is fine. I'm happy about Jackson. I think this is a bounce back year for sure. And then from there, I got a bunch of receivers. I got Calvin Ridley, who I think is going to have a monster year, Keenan Allen, CeeDee Lamb, maybe reached for Lamb a little bit at wide receiver 11, but I definitely don't hate it. He's been shooting up in ADP, so I feel like that was kind of a decent place to get him. And then Julio Jones, Deontay Johnson, Odell Beckham, and Tyler Boyd. So a lot of upside there, a lot of week 7 buys. And then for my running backs, I was the one to take Saquon Barkley at RB10. He fell quite a bit just, based on the drafters here. I'm not high on him at all this year, but at RB10, I feel confident taking him there. And then I got J.K. Dobbins, Chris Carson, and Kareem Hunt. I think all of those guys are super solid for my third kind of slot that'll rotate and whatnot. And then I ended up with Noah Fant as my third tight end because of the tight end issue, and Justin Herbert, who was also after the second quarterback run. I would have been much happier with either Aaron Rodgers or Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson for sure. But I'm not as low on Justin Herbert, I guess, as you guys are.
Yeah. And I just want to go back to that CeeDee Lamb pick because I really like it. And I think that there's no issue with reaching for a guy you like at wide receiver, especially in that range, because unlike a position like, let's say, tight end or quarterback, where, if you're wrong, it's one spot and then like he could drop a ton until you get to that next guy. It might be a whole nother round. Like, if CeeDee Lamb, if you draft him, if he's going as like the wide receiver 15 and you draft him as the wide receiver 10, in his range of outcomes is still like, top 5. But even if he busts, he's probably still going to be, in the top 20 or something like that. So I think there's a lot less risk with just going after the guys you like in that 3rd round, 4th round at wide receiver. Because even if it's a little higher than ADP, because they're not going to kill you, even if they don't, maybe they miss a couple games or something like that, or just don't kind of pan out as high as you expected. So I love the Lamb pick. He has huge upside, and that's really where you have to take him at this point because his ADP is shooting up. So like it a lot. Sean, how about you? How did you feel about your draft?
I feel good. I feel like I lucked out a little bit by rolling the dice by taking Travis Kelce number 2 overall, really hoping that either Derrick Henry or Alvin Kamara were to make it back to me. Just with the 4-person draft, like the drop off at tight end is so sharp that, you guys wisely took the next 2 tight ends because once those 3 are off the board, then it's another pretty big drop off. So I was fortunate to get Kamara to make it back to me. And then it's always fun getting Devontae Adams in the 3rd round. Don't get to say that too often. And then once Patrick Mahomes was off the board, I thought Josh Allen should go, pretty much right after him. So I was fortunate to get fortunate to get him. And then getting Kyle Pitts as the 6th tight end before that, next sharp drop off at tight end. And, having Kelce and Pitts is going to be good because, I could see someone like Pitts even, scoring in my flex position every so often. So I think having that added sort of bench slot for the flex was huge in this format. And then, I'm just kind of picking at running back as I just target the shit out of wide receiver for the next 10 rounds or so. I wanted to get as many of those, high-end wide receiver 2s as possible. It's a very volatile position in best ball. So you do like to have 8 or 9 wide receivers. Since we all have really good wide receivers, we're probably going to get some monster scores. So that's why I felt like that was the range, is just really target wide receiver. And then getting Russell Wilson in round 14, I was considering taking him as soon as like round 10. But, I didn't want to take Dak Prescott because I have Josh Allen, who has a week 7 bye. So I was kind of waiting for the next run at quarterback, and then I was going to take Wilson. So I feel like I got fortunate by getting Wilson right after you took Dak. And then at the end of the draft, I just took 2 running backs I wasn't too thrilled about to add an additional running back. I felt like the weakness of my team was running back. So I did think I needed 6 running backs for me to feel really good about this team. But I think if this team stays healthy, you guys better watch out.
Oh yeah. And I'll wrap it up. My team went George Kittle in the 2nd. Felt like I still came out okay with getting Tyreek Hill in the 3rd, Mahomes in the 4th. And then the other thing I was happy with was that I tended to be ahead of the curve on the running back tier drop off. So I got, after Dalvin in round 1, I was able to get Aaron Jones in round 6, Joe Mixon in 7, Najee Harris in 8, Edwards-Helaire in 9. And because I felt good enough about that combination, I didn't really feel like any other running backs that I would take later would factor in too much to my roster. It enabled me to do something that, Sean, you just hit on, that I think is the key in most best ball drafts, and that's hammering the wide receiver position, just because there's so much available upside that I think a lot of times we get into this like redraft mindset of chasing ghosts and that RB2 slot. And we think we're going to be dead if we don't have like a great RB, in that 2nd running back slot or in the flex. But really, you're going to be dead if you don't have a great wide receiver 3 in these kind of formats, because there's just so much available wide receiver upside. So to get Tyreek Hill and Hopkins and Mclaren, Cooper, Evans, to start off, and then Higgins and some guys late, that's really what I wanted to do. Now, I think the weakness is, obviously I would have liked to get, 2 of the top 6 tight ends, but it's an 8-man draft, and I got Kittle. So I didn't feel like there, before I could really move, it was, everyone took the rest of the guys in that top 6. So I had to go with Tunyon. I would have gone him more often than not in that spot, but it's far from a slam dunk. And then I think Robbie Anderson, Galladay, and Debo, those guys are very interchangeable. Like if in another draft, I might have just as well taken like Chase Claypool and Odell Beckham or whoever is sitting around in that range. I think you just kind of want to diversify there. There's some risk there, but also a lot of upside. So Steven, man, I really thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope everyone out there enjoyed it as well. And we'll see how this plays out.
And sounds good. Thanks for having me. Can't wait for the season to start.
Absolutely. And you guys can continue to tune into the Fantasy Flex feed. Make sure you subscribe, because we did switch the feeds. So we got our own feed now. We'll be giving you 5 episodes per week during the regular season, which is just on the horizon. We have a ton of episodes already out, getting you guys ready for the season. So be sure to check it out, subscribe, leave a rating and review. We will give people who leave rate and reviews that we randomly choose some free swag. So be sure to do that. And you can follow Sean on Twitter at @the_oddsmaker. And Samantha, what's your handle?
That's Samantha NFL.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. And you can find Samantha on Twitter at Samantha NFL. I'm at Chris Raybon. And be sure to check out actionnetwork.com for all of our fantasy football content, our fantasy draft tool with customizable league settings and all of our betting content as well. And make sure you download the award-winning Action Network app. Until next time, good luck in your drafts. Let's get this shmoney.